Hello, my name is Chris. I'm on the design team at Teeter, and I'm excited to take a few minutes today to show you the difference between our product and a competitive item, so that as you're making a decision online, you can understand what goes in to make the Teeter difference. We have customized tooling, we have high quality components and products, all designed to be assembled easily at home in just minutes, and everything maximizes your user experience. So if you're ready, let's jump into it and let's unpack the two and we'll begin evaluating the components. This particular unit is the FitSpine X1. It's a pin lock ankle closure design. This is an Innova product. It's also a pin lock ankle closure. Okay, so we've got all the pre-packaging, the tape cut, the banding cut. We're gonna open up the boxes and you'll see them exactly as they arrive. So there's the Innova. At Teeter, we want you to be able to walk through the unpackaging and the assembly process with all the support we can offer. We put steps 1, 2, 3, 4 in the box with our phone number, how to contact us, customer service address. And then right on the top, we have our assembly manual with a get started guide outlining how to unpack. Here we have the Innova, which is a good step. They put the assembly instruction on the top so you can pull this out. Their parts kit. The Teeter parts kit, I think, is right here. So you can see that the Teeter parts kit is 2 bolts. This is all these bolts. One other thing I can tell by looking at these two products, our box is larger, which means things are more assembled. When you look at this product, the box is smaller, more compact, which means there's going to be a lot more assembly. Our A-frame is fully assembled, is one shape U-bent, and it gives the most rigidity, most support, strongest A-frame design. This one has bolted corners, so I can tell we're going to be assembling this for a little bit longer. With that, I'm going to just start pulling out the pieces and put them on the floor, and we can see a parts count for what you get for Teeter and what you get for the Innova product. So when you look at a product and you're comparing two items together, you got to look at the detail. Packaging, time to get out of the box is kind of a factor. But then when you look at the components as they're laid out, you can see the Teeter item, you have a bed, structure support, you have the A-frame, you have the main shaft. All the work's done on those pieces. We're not building this from scratch. In the parts box, you have a handle which goes on the left and right. You have the 3-hole hinge which goes in the bed, and the table's assembled. If you go to this item, you're gonna see the Innova has decided to shrink their box size and have the user do the assembly at home. The challenge of that is that if you're suffering from a joint or back problem, you're gonna be at home, bending over, trying to put in little nuts and bolts and screws. And they did do a good job of laying out step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, step 5. But the downside of the way that they did this is you're at home having to figure it out. And that's the benefit of this video, is you're gonna get to see me do it. And I think that you'll be shocked at the difference in speed of the Teeter and of the Innova product. So should we get after it? we managed to get through the assembly process. And I think you could agree with me that the Teeter was a little bit quicker to assemble than the Innova. The assembly process is part of the quality of the item. The more bolts and more bolted together connection points, the more things the customer has to deal with, but also the more chances you have to fail. With our Teeter products, we have continuous bent tubing, no weak points. We have robotic welding for the crossbars and key structural points. It makes sure that nothing can ever back out in the future. And while this table does have nylon locks, if somebody doesn't tighten these bolts all the way, you're going to get a lot of wobbling happening where our Teeter doesn't wobble at all. What I'd like to do right now is jump through the ankle closures, and we'll break the table apart to key features so you understand what each feature kind of means and does. The ankle closure is what holds you on the table. When you invert, these cups securely hold your ankles in place so that you don't have any sort of fall. If we open this ankle closure, you'll see if I board their table, pull the pin up. So first off, when I pulled the pin, I really didn't get this thing holding me securely in place. I'm going to pull it and I'm going to push in to lock it in the bottom one. So you can see that my ankle is just barely the size of the cups. Now, if I was to invert and everything's going good, I'd sink into here like this and I'd be hanging by my ankle, cam locked into these cups. The challenge is that I could easily remove my feet. And you want to be securely held on the table if you're doing sit-ups or aggressive stretching. You don't want the risk of your feet to come undone. If we go to the Teeter one, you'll see that these cups, or what we call our ergo cups, are designed to really securely go around your ankle. So now, what happens is that if I try to get my legs to the side, it is impossible for me to pull out. And that just means that you're going to stay on the product. Plus, with the extra size of these cups, it's holding with more surface area on your feet, ensuring it's more comfortable. There's less strain and stress on your ankle joint and the top of your foot. All in all, it's a really comfortable experience. Let's talk about the T-pin, because that really is the next largest and most important part. This product is utilizing a pull pin, just like our product. You pull up, the ankle closure slides in, there's a spring inside. The difficulty with this item is in an attempt to create a longer lever, an easier to reach pin, they've added more height here. As you can see, the Teeter item, we keep it really a short, tight pin. The reason we do that is that with this item, you can see that I can bend it. And now it's damaged. And when the pin gets damaged, and I just bent that with just my hand. So if you bump it or knock it or kick it with your foot, you can bend this pin. When this gets bent, you can see that there's a challenge of the pin not being in the hole, and when the pin's not in the hole, there's a risk of injury. Another item that's interesting is that you can pull out all the way on the spring. This causes the spring to get damaged in use and leads to a short life cycle of product. If you come and look at the Teeter, you'll see that we use a small T-pin. It doesn't give you the ability to bend. I'm pushing on it, but the pin is too short, the handle's too short to be able to provide any type of force to bend it. So the longevity of this will be years as opposed to months, even if you kick it with your foot or damage it or drop it. The other thing is that when you pull out, I can't pull any farther than here. We have a screw that limits the extension of the front ankle closure, which ensures that the spring stays tight for the life of the product. Another interesting thing is the foot platform. Teeter has a 2-height foot platform. It's easy. You just rotate it to the next height. This helps with users with different types of shoes, board the table, and use it easily. If you go from the Teeter to the Innova foot platform, the Innova in their marketing material allows you to have adjustment here. It requires you to undo the bolt, move it, put the bolt back in. The challenge with that is you're clearly not going to do it every time you use it. And if you're not getting a comfortable distance from your foot to the cups, you're going to have body slide and you're going to have a challenge with getting the table to operate exactly the way you want to when you're inverting. Let's look right now at the A-frames, because while they do look very similar, it's important to realize that this A-frame is completely bolted together at all the key points. Our A-frame is one solid piece of bent steel with welded connections. The stability and the long-term strength of our A-frame versus nuts and bolts with nylock washers, it's not comparable. This item will last 15, 20 years with no challenges, no issues. Where this item, I'm sure, will be able to last, but will require tightening. And if not assembled correctly, could lead to a shaky feeling. If you look at these A-frames, another thing is that this The Innova bumper is just a small piece of plastic that fits into a hole designed to stop the table when it comes upright. The issue is when you have too much weight on one side of the pivot point, you can have quite a large bump when you come upright. The Teeter product has a more pliable, robust bumper that does stop the table in the upright position, but it will also stop it in the inverted position. Another thing to consider about the main shaft that's important is the strength of the steel. It's a huge strength value difference between these two pieces of metal. One is designed to meet the UL standards, and one is designed to meet a price point. The majority of the load hanging off of these ankle closures will be hanging on this metal. And if the metal is not strong enough, you're going to get bending, deflection, distortion, which could yield an injury, a break in the metal, or it could result in the table not functioning through the course of its life. The biggest thing to consider when you're looking at an inversion table is rotation. You board the table, you put your head back, lift your arms up one at a time, and the table should rotate smoothly into the inverted position. And when you're ready to come back out, you should be able to pull yourself out, starting the rotation, but just use your arms to come back up. The motion of your arm should guide the speed of rotation. With the Teeter product, we design our tables utilizing a 3-hole hinge. It allows great weight distribution, weight balance adjustment for users from 6'6" to 4'6", and from 115 pounds to 300 pounds. You get a huge spectrum of user potential on here. The best part is that as you adjust it, you can get the table to move effortlessly for any type of user. And all you have to do is lift it out. You push these springs, and then you just adjust this hole here. So the closest is for lighter people and farthest is for heavier people. It just moves the balance point away from the center of the table farther and allows gravity to work slightly differently. That adjustment, coupled with the height adjustment on the main shaft, is really what allows the table to be tuned for different users. We have oil-impregnated bearings, which allow for smooth rotation as well, and we design the weight of the head of the table and the main shaft to correspond so that as your body is on it, you get good balance and weight displacement through rotation. If you look at the Innova design, you'll see they've done away with the 3-hole hinge in favor of only utilizing the main shaft adjustment to adjust for different size users. This does make the table a little easier to set up and configure, but it greatly reduces the performance of the table. With the Teeter, because you have that high level of adjustability, you can get the table to seesaw and rock with just using your arms. We call it cycling. It's really challenging to do that with this product. The other issue they have is that they have a very light ankle closure structure and a very heavy head of the table with all this upholstery. That causes more weight to be on the head of the table at all times, regardless of where the user's body is. When the user will invert, their hands will go up, and they can actually become kind of stuck upright, and it takes a little bit of jiggling and knowledge in order to get yourself out. And that's why they include these large handles, is so you could climb out of the inverted position. So there's really 3 parts of this. There's the use, the aesthetics, and the durability that we're looking at. The bed obviously looks attractive. We have the use, which is this 8-point suspension system that allows the table to rotate and move. But the durability is based around this large main shaft housing and our bent metal, laser cut, or machine welded bracket. As you come over here, you'll see that a lot of what makes up this bed structure, which is this kind of these brackets in this bed and upholstered area, the metal is actually quite small in comparison to the weight of the actual bed surface. That's what I was talking about earlier when I mentioned that the rotation of this item isn't as smooth because they have more mass on the head of the table. That's in the Teeter, we focus on the lighter plastics and the lighter rotation with heavier metal. What this company has done is focused on heavier plywood and upholstery and foam with lighter steel construction. So now I guess it's time to take these tables for a spin. So I'll turn this thing sideways, and that way you can see how it's going to work. I'm going to set the user pin height at 6'2", which is the correct height for me. I'm going to pull this pin out. I'm going to lock it, secure my feet, that little extra bit. I'm going to make sure that my ankles are comfortable. Now watch, I'm going to lift one hand up and the other hand up. Okay, so I do have control right now. And as I come up and as I move my arms, the table is responding nicely. I'm just going to tuck my shirt in here. when I go to invert, you can see how it dumped me upside down that last little bit. That's that weight issue I was talking about. You can see my back is touching the bed structure, which on the Teeter you hang freely. So I've got a limited mobility here, range of motion in order to get around. It's still enough to invert, but it's just not as much as the Teeter. To come out of an inverted position, you grab the head of the bed, you grab the A-frame, and you pull together. And you can see I can't get enough pull in order to swing out of the inverted position. So what you have to do with this model is you have to grab here on the handles and you got to pull up, and then you got to bend your knees in order to get out and then get over like this. And it is an inversion experience, but at the same time, I think that it could be more comfortable for the user. And look here, my ankle almost slid out when trying to do all that. So let me show you the Teeter, and I think you'll see the difference here. Now we're going to try the Teeter table. I've already set it to 6'2", which is my height. I'm going to secure my ankles, and I'm going to lay back and watch. One hand up, you can see the table begins rotating already. It's very, very responsive, and as I move both my hands, I can come back up any moment I'd like. As I begin to invert, you use one hand, and then you just grab the floor, and we're here. Piece of cake. So now you're away from the bed. You have lots of room to stretch and move, and when you want to come out of the inverted position, you grab the bump in the front, which you can also use a stretch from, but you grab the bump in the front, and you just pull. Bend your knees slightly, and you're up. It's a really easy transition from the inverted to the upright position. To limit the angle of inversion, we rely on what we believe is the most time-tested way, and that's a nylon strap. You just secure it, you can adjust it to different heights, and it will go anywhere between horizontal and 60 degrees. It's very easy to set by just adjusting this buckle, and if you happen to set your main shaft and rotate too quickly, this strap will actually absorb some force and cushion your stopping point. This product has an interesting angle limiting feature. They have a pin that screws into the side of the A-frame, and you rotate the pin in like this, securing yourself at this setting, 15, 30, 45, or 60. It seems like an interesting idea, but the challenge for me, there's only a stop on one side, so you have an uneven load displacement where all the force of the person inverting is being stopped on this side of the A-frame. I can tell even as I'm just doing it that the whole side of the A-frame is twisting and rotating. And after a few years, 2, 3, 5 years of use, I don't believe this product is going to rotate and function as it did when new. I can guarantee you our Teeter product is going to work for 15 to 20 years of life. We've got it UL tested, and we have real-life testing that shows a lifespan of 20 years. That's why we use our tether strap, which stops securely with the same amount of load on both sides of the pivot point. So when you talk about metal, the challenge is, heat-treated steel, high carbon steel, which we use in our product, versus normal steel. What's normal steel? It's literally just a lower quality metal that's able to be purchased, and it's not anywhere near the same strength or tensile strength as carbon steel that we use. I'll just show you this quickly. If I was to put my knee on the side of the bed and you say, why would you ever do this? Well, this simulates somebody who has the table set too short for their height and mass. Imagine a guy with a big upper body, and he puts it at a short main shaft setting. He's going to rotate faster. He's going to be stuck in an inverted position. And watch this, ready? Didn't mean to do that, go so crazy, but I'll show you this. That was maybe 100 pounds of force from my knee, and I bent the pin. Now this pin is supposed to be the device that secures you from going and over-rotating. And if we put this on a Teeter product, I couldn't certify a 15 to 20 year lifespan of this under regular daily use. And I don't think these guys can either. Here's another pin. This is the same one I bent it. You can push right here with your hand. And I'm not a muscular guy. And I just bent it by just applying that little bit of force. And I don't know if you know how coat hangers work, but the more you bend them, the easier they are to break. These are the key pieces that support you and secure your ankle. And if you're able to bend that easy, it's just the difference between our carbon steel and just kind of market entry steel. Well, they put a 300-pound user weight on this product, and I'm 180 pounds. I was able to bend these with just my hands. I don't know if this would really be able to last that 300-pound user weight for an extended period of time. The last feature really needs to be considered is folding for storage. You should be using your table in the morning and at night, whenever you need to decompress regularly. But if you're not going to use it for a few days and you want to put it somewhere, let's see how they collapse. This table, you pull a pin out of the hole and you rotate it up like this, and you put the pin back in the hole. And this is their storage position. The Teeter product is a bit more of a compact design where you pull the pin on the main shaft, slide it in, rotate forward, step on the A-frame and lift up on the crossbars. And now you have a compact storage position that's easy to carry. It's easy to pick up and move around as you see fit. The coolest part about it is it does spring right back into action as soon as you need it by just opening the spreader arm, rotating the table, and now you're ready to go. People ask me all the time, what's the difference between Teeter and a competitive product that you might find for a fraction of the price online? And what I tell them is we have been around 40 years. We've been custom designing inversion tables for that 40 years. And we have a lot of knowledge and little design details and features that we put into the steel structure to ensure that it will last when somebody uses it on a regular basis. We've done surveys and our typical customer is a 10 to 15-year user, at which point they buy another Teeter because of our innovation over time. We have got components on these tables that are designed with huge custom tooling and molds. We put a lot of effort to try to continually push our manufacturing ability, designing great new concepts like these ergo cups, these overmolded handles. We're trying to create a beautiful product that's also a lifelong usable product. And I think that when you get a Teeter home, you'll understand that these components are made to last. But not only that, if you have a problem, you can call us. We're based in the US. Our phone number is on the box, it's on the manual, it's on the table. And we'll support you as long as you have our product. That's the Teeter difference, and we hope that you are willing to give it a shot.